The machines hummed softly, almost as if they were breathing for him. My son's face was pale, nearly translucent beneath the sterile glow of the ICU lights. The surgeon's words still echoed in my mind. His chances of recovery are minimal. My wife had stepped out to call family. She needed something to keep her occupied. I just sat there, the weight of silence pressing against my ribs. When I reached for his jacket from the chair beside the bed, something slipped out, a sealed envelope, its edges slightly worn, my name written across it in his handwriting. Dad. My pulse shifted. I tore it open, half expecting a simple note that said, "I love you," or "Sorry for the car." Instead, it read, "Dad, if you're seeing this, go to storage unit 142. You'll understand everything. Everything." That last word lingered like a threat. I looked at him, tubes running into his arms, machines counting the seconds he might not have left. He was only 19. Too young for secrets. Too young to sound that deliberate. I folded the note, slid it back into the envelope, tucked it into my pocket, and sat down again. The ventilator's hum suddenly sounded louder. Something about this wasn't an accident. The next morning, the hospital lights hadn't changed. They never do. I told my wife I needed some air and walked out. Storage Unit 142 was 20 minutes away, an industrial park at the edge of town, the kind of place where people stored things they didn't want to remember. I unlocked the gate and punched in the code from the key tag I'd found on his car keys. The metal door rolled up with a screech that made my skin crawl. Inside, it wasn't what I expected. No junk. No clutter. Just one thing, a small black duffel bag on a metal table and a neat stack of papers. The first page was a printout of a bank statement, my name, deposits I didn't recognize, tens of thousands of dollars, dating back 2 years. The next page was a photo, my son standing beside a man in a black suit I didn't know. My son was smiling, but not like himself, more like he was trying to prove something. Underneath lay a flash drive, taped to a piece of paper with 3 words written in red ink. For when it's safe. I didn't feel fear, not yet. Just cold, cutting clarity. The kind that comes when the truth begins to whisper. That night, I plugged the flash drive into my laptop in the hospital waiting room. The folders were dated and labeled, security footage, text transcripts, GPS data. He'd been tracking someone or something. One video showed a warehouse, men exchanging envelopes, boxes being loaded into trucks marked medical supplies. Another file contained a list of names. One stood out immediately, Dr. H. Morgan, neurosurgery, City General, my son's surgeon. It didn't make sense until I opened the audio file. His voice came through, shaky but resolute. Dad, if something happens to me, it wasn't an accident. They're laundering money through the hospital, transplant donors that don't exist. Dr. Morgan's in on it. I have proof. But they found out I was tracing the transfers. Then, silence. I looked up from the laptop toward the hallway leading to my son's room. The doctor's office was 3 doors down. The accident, the crash, the impossible coincidence, it all began to form a shape. When Dr. Morgan walked into the ICU that night, I was waiting. "Any updates?" I asked. He gave the same tired smile he always did. "We're doing everything we can." But his hands were trembling just slightly, enough for me to notice. His eyes drifted to the folder on my lap labeled 142. His expression flickered. That was all I needed. "You knew," I said quietly. He didn't answer, just stared, calculating whether to deny or deflect. I didn't press further. I didn't need to. I'd already sent the files anonymously to every major news outlet in the state. By morning, headlines spread faster than infection. Hospital fraud scandal, surgeons linked to organ trafficking network. Dr. Morgan resigned within hours. Federal agents arrived before noon. My wife thought it was all coincidence. I let her believe that. 2 days later, my son opened his eyes. The nurses called it a miracle. I called it timing. He didn't remember much, or pretended not to. But when I showed him the envelope, the look in his eyes told me he knew exactly what he'd done. "You finished it, didn't you?" he whispered. I nodded once. "We did." I never told him about the duplicate drives or the offshore accounts I'd found in the files. I moved the money, donated half, locked away the rest under a name that no longer belonged to anyone. Dr. Morgan's name trended for weeks, then vanished, like every villain who finally meets daylight. It's been 6 months. My son walks again, slower, quieter. He doesn't talk about that night, and I don't ask. The storage unit is empty now. Just dust and silence. Sometimes I still drive past it. The number 142 is still painted in black on the metal door. There's a strange peace in knowing that truth always costs something, and we both paid it. The surgeon lost his life's work. My son lost his innocence. And me? I lost the illusion that this world is ever clean. When the truth calls, it doesn't whisper. It waits, patient, cold, and permanent.